It is Tuesday, June 23rd, 2026, and it is 7:31 p.m. Good evening. My name is Christian Klein. I'm the chair of the Arlington Zoning Board of Appeals, and I'm calling this meeting of the board to order. First, I'd like to confirm that all members and anticipated officials are present. So with that, members of the Zoning Board of Appeals, somebody's feeding back.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Hanlon.
I'm not quite, when do we get the feedback? It's Mr. Stack's icon or
Okay.
pet portrait is lighting up, and it may be that you might want to check to see if
Yeah,
that
I think we have everyone silenced now. I think we're good. Okay. So confirming members of the board are present. We have from the Board of Appeals, Roger DuPont,
here.
Patrick Hanlon.
Here.
We have Venkat Hawley,
Here.
Adam LeBlanc,
Here.
Brad Baranowski,
Here.
and Nick Rosenberg is going to be unavailable this evening. From the town, we have our clerk and zoning assistant, Colleen Ralston.
Here.
Good to have you with us. And then for the dockets this evening, for docket 3903 14 Orchard Terrace, we have Joseph Crane, Patricia Crane, and Stephen Stack. I see you all here. And then for docket 3904 25 Heath Road, we have Mario Berlingeri, who I see here as
Yes.
well. Good to have you all with us. So tonight's meeting of the Arlington Zoning Board of Appeals is being conducted remotely, consistent with the bill signed by Governor Healy on March 28, 2025, which extended temporary provisions pertaining to the open meeting law to June 30th, 2027. The extension of these provisions allows public bodies to hold their meetings remotely by providing live, adequate alternative means of public access to the deliberations. This meeting is being recorded and will be broadcast by ACMi. Members of the public who are participating via Zoom and who wish to offer public comment should be aware that they will be asked to provide their full name and address so that a complete public record of the meeting can be taken in accordance with state law. All participants of this meeting are advised that people may be listening to the meeting without offering public comment, and those people are not required to identify themselves. Any votes that are taken this evening will be conducted by roll call vote. All supporting materials that have been provided to members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. Public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda, and as chair, I reserve the right to take items out of order in the interest of promoting an orderly meeting. As the board will be taking up new business at this meeting, as chair, I make the following land acknowledgement. Whereas the Zoning Board of Appeals for the town of Arlington, Massachusetts discusses and arbitrates the use of land in Arlington, formerly known as Menotomy, an Algonquin word meaning swift waters, the board hereby acknowledges the town of Arlington is located on the ancestral lands of the Massachusetts tribe, the tribe of indigenous peoples from whom the colony, province, and commonwealth have taken their names. We pay our respects to the ancestral bloodline of the Massachusetts tribe and their descendants who still inhabit historic Massachusetts territories today. Starting with the administrative items on our agenda, we have these items relate to the operation of the board and as such are generally conducted without input from the public. The board will not take up any new business, any prior hearings, nor will there be the introduction of any new information on matters previously brought before the board. So we just have one item, which is the minutes from our June 9th, 2026 meeting. Those minutes were prepared by Ms. Ralston, distributed to the board for questions or comments, final version posted back to the board. Are there any questions or comments as they relate to the minutes from the June 9th meeting? Seeing none, I move the Zoning Board of Appeals for the town of Arlington approve the minutes from the June 9, 2026 meeting of the board. A second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hanlon. So roll call vote of the board to approve the minutes from June 9th. Mr. DuPont.
Yes.
Mr. Hanlon?
Yes.
Mr. Hawley?
Yes.
Mr. LeBlanc?
Yes.
Mr. Baranowski was absent last time, and the chair votes yes. So those are approved. That concludes the administrative items. It brings us to our public hearings. Before opening tonight's meeting for public hearings, here are some ground rules for clear and effective conduct of tonight's business. After I announce each agenda item, I will ask the applicant to introduce themselves or themselves and make their presentation to the board. I'll then request that members of the board ask what questions they have on the proposal. After the board's questions have been answered, I will open the meeting for public comment. At the conclusion of public comment, the board will deliberate and vote to either continue or close the public hearing, and all votes will be conducted by roll call vote. Final vote on any matter before the board will be taken at a subsequent meeting once the written decision has been drafted and provided to the board. After the decision has been adopted and signed, the decision will be filed with the town clerk starting the 20-day appeal period under state law. After that time, the applicant may proceed with their building permit. However, under state law, no decision granted by this board shall take effect until a certified copy of the final decision has been filed with and recorded at the Middlesex South Registry of Deeds in Cambridge by the applicant. So with that, we move on to our public hearings. The first is docket 3903, 14 Orchard Terrace. I will announce that I do have a conflict with this hearing. And so therefore I'm recusing myself and will be handing the reins along to our vice chair, Mr. Patrick Hanlon.
Okay, the public hearing has been open. And if I see the applicant is here, maybe one of you would like to introduce yourself and tell the board what you'd like to do. Mr. Crane, Ms. Crane?
Yes, Joseph Crane, 14 Orchard Terrace.
Let me say, I'm not sure if it's you, Mr. Stack, still, because it does light up when there's feedback. And maybe I'm not quite sure why that would be the case, but let's proceed and see if we can work our way past this. Mr. Crane, why don't you continue to see if this works better?
Okay. Looking to extend out our current deck or porch at 14 Orchard to enclose that porch area in as we are currently under construction. Stephen has more of the plans and the details and measurements.
We say if you like, Mr. Stack can go more into the details.
That would be awesome.
Mr. Stack, you're actually on my screen twice, so that one of you should speak up.
Am I gone or am I here?
You're here.
Okay. Yeah, so we're looking to extend the front porch deck like 1.5 feet towards the street. It's non-conforming at the moment.
Would you like to put the pictures up on the?
If you could do, yeah, it'd be great.
Ms. Ralston, could you do that for him? Ms. Ralston? There you go. Okay, these are the other pictures, and maybe you want to start off with the plot plan so you can just see where this is. There you go. Okay, the floor is yours, Mr. Stack.
Yeah, so if I can make it a little bigger. Yeah. So what we're trying to do here is go closer to the street 1.5 feet. We have plans for it.
But this is just not working.
On top.
Mr. Stack, you have two things open on here. Can you try and close one of your?
Yeah.
Because I think what you're echoing on yourself.
Oh. Which one do I leave? Is that better?
No, I'm afraid it's not.
No. I think I only have one open.
Well, yes, I only see you once on the screen. Well, I can't very well put you on mute.
Yeah, I think I only have one open. I'm not sure what it is.
It sounds better now.
It sounds better
okay.
now. Let's cross our fingers and try.
Okay. So we have detailed drawings there of the actual porch itself, but this is where we're looking to go closer to the street, about 1.5 feet.
Yeah.
And we also, there was also a porch deck on top of the second floor, but it was grossly inadequate, for structure. So we're looking to, instead of putting the deck back, to do an enclosed front porch looking room that would match the neighborhood. If we can scroll up those drawings, do I do that, or does Colleen do that, or?
Kelly, this is on our thing, right? So can you zoom a little bit so it's more legible? That's okay. You were wanting to transition to these pictures anyway, Mr. Stack. Why don't we go to there? If we need to, we'll go back to the top. So why don't you go to where you would like to be?
It's not moving. Do I press it and move it up, or? Okay.
No, he just asked Ms. Walton to do it. Just tell her, or we can zoom it up and you can just tell her when to stop.
Okay. I'm just seeing dots on my screen, so I'm not sure.
That's all I'm seeing too.
Yeah.
Well, this is odd. Colleen, do you have any idea what's causing this? This isn't what you have, right?
Looks like it's just taking a while to load. Hold on one sec.
Yeah.
Okay. So that looks like the front elevation is starting to come in. That's what it. I think that's what it is now.
But this is the existing, right?
This is the existing, yeah.
And you have with the porch level is that there at the bottom.
Yeah.
And you
So this is the porch level here, and then the deck that was up here. But this is all like undersized. It's all like, I think, just 2x4s with a rubber roof on it. So we obviously can't put a deck back on it.
Yeah.
So if we have to take it all down, it's hard to save anything once you start taking it down. If we've got to take it all down, we were trying to see if we could just go out another 1.5 feet, because right now it's 6 feet, so we'd be getting like 7.5 or something like that.
Okay.
If we scale up to the next drawing. I think it's still coming in on my page. Yeah, right there.
Okay.
So we were hoping to keep the the porch look, the front porch look, and then above have an enclosed room, but keep it looking like it would be a front porch, like carrying the columns. Obviously, there'd be fake columns, but carrying them up onto the second floor and having it opened like it would be, an open room. And then here's, the railings and stuff for the first floor deck or porch. And same over here.
Yeah.
I think when it comes in fully, you'll see what we're looking to push out to. I can't see it now, but it was just like to go out closer to the street, 1.5 feet.
Okay. And do you know what the setback is currently?
Right now, we're non-conforming as it is.
Right. Look at the.
Do you want to go back to the plot plan?
It depends what Patrick. We can do that if Patrick wants to see that.
Would like. Well, before we do that, let me just, in efficiency, rather than trying to come back to this, I wonder, let me stop right now and ask if the member of the board, if they have any questions about the nature of the proposal as presented, because that would particularly anything that relates to this set of plans. You have to speak up if there's anyone who wants to see, because I can't see everybody out together on the screen. Okay, seeing none, let's go back to the plot plan. I just want to get a sense of how far this is from the street and
Yeah.
what the change is from where it is right now.
Okay.
Can you see that right now or no?
Yes, I can. So the street here is in the top part of the picture.
Correct.
And then you've got your story now, and do you know how far back the existing, let's see, back to the porch where it is now is what?
It's looking like it's 11 feet. I'd have to blow it up, but like at the very top here, is that 11 feet right there? From this point to there? Well, it's 11 feet to the new proposed one. This is the
So
new.
it's about 12 and a half feet.
Yeah.
For the, whoops. Just lost everybody. And it looks like if you go back to the porch, that'll lose about a piece and a half. So it's a fair distance back from the street.
Correct.
Okay. So is there anything, why don't we take this down for now? I'd like to get to a point where I can actually see there we go. Is there any member of the board who has any questions or comments about where we are right now and the nature of the proposal?
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Baranowski.
can I just ask if the applicant could talk a little bit more about the need for the 1.5 foot addition? What's the particular need for that addition versus doing this project on the current footprint?
Yeah, no problem. So basically, it's 6 feet because if we close it in, we got to do it to today's codes, which are 2x6s, insulation and stuff. So we lose a couple of inches on it. So it ends up being like, I think it's just less than 6 feet or in and around 6 feet. So if you put a couch there, it's kind of, it's just one long room that you have to walk around. If you got an extra 1.5 foot, now you could actually have chairs sitting in front of each other or, something like that, just to make use of the space. That was the hope. And because we have to, obviously to do this, to make it proper, we have to dig down, put new footings and all according to the plans. So if we're going to be doing all that, you're kind of doing the same work, whether it's, 6 feet or 7.5, you know what I mean?
So just to sum up, it's basically the 1.5 foot difference really makes a difference in the functionality of the room, it sounds like.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not wasted space, you know what I mean?
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Good question. You had mentioned that either you or Mr. Crane mentioned that there were structural issues, that this was no longer compliant with with structural requirements for edifices of this kind, and I'm wondering if you could explain a little bit more what that is.
Yeah, it was kind of built back in the day, so I think, everything back then was just undersized. So right now the roof is 2x4s. So we had a structural engineer look at it, and the top of it is 2x4. So you wouldn't really be able to put a second floor. You shouldn't even actually be walking on it, but you wouldn't be able to put a second floor deck that they did have on it back on it, consciously. And if you have to tear it all down to redo it, we're just thinking that they would prefer to have like a roof over it for their section, but still keeping the porch and the porch look, because they like the whole style of it and the layout of the house, but just if they could have the top section enclosed. And it also, the downstairs extra 1.5 foot would give downstairs room to have a table and chairs that they could walk around instead of one person being stuck in a corner.
Okay. All right, is there any other questions of Mr. Stack? All right, I don't see any here. Um, it's time to open the meeting to public comment. The public questions and comments will only be taken as they relate to the matter at hand. And they should be directed to the board for the purpose of informing its decision. Members of the public will be granted time to ask questions and make comments. Those who wish to address the board should digitally raise their hands using the button on the React tab in the Zoom application. Those calling in by phone, please dial *9 to indicate that you would like to speak. You will be called upon by the chair. You will be asked to give your full name and address for the record, and you will be given time for your questions and comments. All questions are to be addressed through the chair. Please remember to speak clearly. Once all public questions and comments have been addressed or a designated period of time has elapsed, the public comment period will be closed. This isn't that large a meeting, so I'm not going to put any arbitrary time limit on it. Is there anyone from the public who would like to address this application? Okay, so seeing not, you'll not close the public.
No, Mr. Chair, my hands are.
You were slow, Mr. Moore.
No, I was not slow, Mr. Chair.
You didn't show on my screen. I'm having a hard time with technology today, but I was surprised not to have heard from you. And so
Yeah, you know me.
Yeah, I do actually. All right, Mr. Moore, would identify yourself for the record, please,
Sure.
and say your piece.
Yeah, Steve Moore, Piedmont Street. And I apologize up front if there has been an exhibit that I've not been able to find, because I went through it and didn't find an answer to what I was looking for, even though it may be there, I guess, because things are loading real slow. I'm wondering if this room for the second floor, if this will be part of the open floor plan of the second floor, or will this be a separate room like a porch is right now?
Do I answer that?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. There is doors that go out to it. Yeah, there's the right now we've there's patio doors that go out into it. It would still be able to, you walk out from the living room, but it still would be like I don't want to say a 3-season porch because obviously we want it heated and stuff like that. But it would be like a deck. It would be like a porch, but just has a roof or like just the windows enclosed. That was the goal for it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think that answers the question. I just want to make sure it's not, sort of the creeping expansion of the living space. Well, not the living space, but the floor plan of the second floor.
Yeah, no, we're not trying to turn it into a bedroom or anything like that. It's going to be open so you can see it, so they can see out when you're sitting down, just like you would if you were sitting on the deck below or the porch below.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moore. Is there anyone else from the public who'd like to address this application? Okay, seeing none, we just give a brief summary of the case. The proposal here is, this is in the R2 two-family. This is a two-family house, right? Up and down.
Correct.
The subject property is a two-family residence in the R2 zoning district. The applicant would like to remove the existing front porch and second floor deck because they don't meet current structural code, and it creates a safety problem. The proposed replacement will retain the open porch on the first floor, but will enclose the second-story porch. The applicant represents that the upper level porch will provide transparency connecting it to the life of the street year-round, and that's indicated in the drawings by the windows that are laid out there, and that certainly apply that it's a pretty transparent environment. The upper level enclosed porch will extend an additional 18 inches towards the street, bringing this from the setback from about 12 and a half feet to 11 feet. This requires a special permit from us for a couple of reasons. One, under section 539D, which says porches, decks, steps, and landings in the required setback are not considered to be within the foundation wall and may not be enclosed, extended, or built upon except by special permit. So that leads us then to there's no special requirements under this portion of the zoning bylaws, so would be governed right by section 3.3.3 of the bylaw, which I'll turn to in a minute. In a couple of ways, this proposal will increase an existing nonconformity. This building is already non-compliant, is non-conforming with respect to the front yard setback, and this would increase that nonconformity by 18 inches. This also has some usable open space, but is not compliant, does not have enough to meet the zoning bylaw requirement. And this project will slightly decrease the amount of open space. Some open space will be taken up, usable open space will be taken up by the extension of the porch. And also the gross square footage will increase so that this will slightly decrease the amount of usable open space, but still going from a non-compliant position to a compliant position. So that is allowed under our zoning bylaw under section 8.1.3 D. So if we go and review the findings we need to make, and we go back to the requirements for the porch. The ultimate finding we need to make under 3.3.3 is that the adverse effects of the proposed use will not outweigh the beneficial impacts to the town or neighborhood in view of the characteristics of the site and the proposal in relation to the site. At this point, I think the record will support the conclusion that the use itself will have no negative impact. It's essentially the same kind of use that exists now. There would be a slight reduction in the front yard setback of 1.5 feet, but that is not large enough here for a significant effect on neighborhood properties or the neighborhood. The impact would be minimized by transparency and treatment of the upper floor. Beneficial impacts would be to eliminate the structural issue and increase safety, make property more usable for the residents, especially the residents of the upper unit, and third, just in general, by making the front of this house more attractive and rebuilding it in this way, there will be a benefit to the neighborhood and increasing the value of the property. So if the board agreed with what I just said, it certainly would be possible for it to make the finding that the adverse effects of the proposed use are minor and will not outweigh the beneficial impacts. The zoning bylaw also causes us to look at several subsidiary things. And I'll go through those quickly. The first is that the use is listed in the bylaw as a special permit use. As already indicated, this would be allowed under section 539D and section 8.13 by special permit. The requested use we are supposed to find is essential or desirable to the public convenience or welfare. Here, the alterations proposed by the applicant will make the residence more suitable for the applicant's needs, or the needs of whoever's living in the second floor. The addition allows for the orderly and very modest expansion of the home to suit the needs of the homeowner. So that is at least arguably desirable for the public. Of course, by doing all of this, it will both make the neighborhood stronger and will help maintain the quality of the town's housing stock without adversely affecting diversity. The requested use will not create undue traffic congestion or unduly impairs its pedestrian safety. Here is pretty straightforward. There will be no increased traffic generation, and the location and the small dimensions of the increased size of the building would not interfere with pedestrian safety, would not interfere with the sight distance. The requested use we are asked to find is that it would not overload any public water drainage or sewage system or other municipal system to such an extent that the requested use or development in the immediate area or in any other area in town will create hazards to the public health and safety. And here, this is obviously such a small change that there's no real issue of overloading any public facilities of any kind. Next is any special regulations for the use may be provided in this bylaw are fulfilled, and the only special regulations that apply are the ones that we'll get to in a second under section 8.1.3. And so those would be fulfilled if we find that is justified. The requested use will not impair the integrity or character of the district or adjoining districts or to be detrimental to health or welfare. That this is not going to be impairing the integrity of the district of the area in which this is found. It is designed and detailed in such a way as to make it fit into what is on Orchard Terrace already. The effort is being made to keep the new structure on the porch and the deck to be similar to what is already there and consistent with the neighborhood. And the fact that this is designed to retain both its function as a porch and with a large amount of glass in on the upper floor will also tend to make the structure seem smaller and to make it fit into the surrounding neighborhood. And finally, and it will have a positive effect of bringing the porch and deck up to current structural standards, which is a plus. And finally, the requested use will not, by its addition to the neighborhood, cause an excess of the use that could be detrimental to the character of the neighborhood. The use here is two-family. It's in the R2 drainage district, which is designed for two-family. You can't really have too much two-family in a two-family district. So that leads us through 3.3.3. If we wanted to look at 8.1, as we must, to section 8.13D, it's a simpler test, and the test is simply whether the proposal will be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing use. And here the increase of the size of the upper porch would further decrease the size of the already non-conforming front yard from 12.9 to 11.4 feet. And the increase in GFA would technically further increase the non-conforming deficiency of usable open space from 26 to 25. Both of those are very small numbers. This is a very small change to the existing use. And we normally look to 3.3.3 for additional guidance as to what would as to whether the standards we take into account in deciding whether there's a substantial more detrimental change. We've already gone through, and I've indicated at least that in my view the board would decide reasonably that all of those criteria were met. And I think the board could also reasonably decide that this would not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing structure. So having gone through that exhaustively, if not exhaustively, open the matter to the board to see if you agree with that undertaking view, or whether if there's anything else that would be required. So the issue is open to the board. Seeing none, as the board is aware, we have three standard conditions. Excuse me, three standard conditions that we apply in every case. Let me just pull them up for a second. My computer is being quite slow. Here we go. Okay, the first of the standing conditions are the final plans and specifications approved by the board for the permit shall be the final plans and specifications submitted to the building inspector of the town of Arlington in connection with its application for zoning relief. There shall be no deviation during construction from approved plans and specifications without the express written approval of the Arlington Zoning Board of Appeals. The second of our conditions is that the building inspector is hereby notified that they are to monitor the site and should proceed with appropriate enforcement procedures at any time they determine that any violations are present. The building inspector shall proceed under section 3.1 of the zoning bylaw under the provisions of chapter 40, section 21D of Mass General Code, and institute non-criminal complaints. If necessary, the building inspector may also approve and institute appropriate criminal action, also in accordance with section 3.1. And the final requirement is number 3 is the board shall maintain continuous jurisdiction with respect to this special permit grant. Does any member of the board believe that it's appropriate to impose any additional condition to these 3? Okay, so at this point, the issue is whether or not it seems that the board's inclination is to grant, and our practice is to, under the circumstances, to continue the proceedings to give us the opportunity to prepare a written report, a written decision that we would finally act upon at the next meeting of the board, which, Ms. Wilson, when is our next meeting?
It is July 14th.
Okay, so we will undertake to provide a decision at that time, and our inclination apparently is to make that a decision for approval. I will undertake to prepare that decision so everybody else can have a good 4th of July followed up by a good Bastille Day. And so the chair moves that for the excuse me, the first step here is then to close the public hearing, and the chair will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. DuPont. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Holy, I think. All in favor of the motion, we'll do a roll call vote on this. This is on closing the public hearing. Mr. DuPont,
Yes.
Mr. Holy,
Yes.
Mr. LeBlanc,
Yes.
Mr. Granowski,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg isn't here, and Mr. Klein has recused himself. Okay, so the public hearing is closed. That means the board will not be taking any additional evidence on this case. And we will undertake to do the hearing, do the final decision again on July 14th, as soon or at 7:30 or as soon thereafter as the matter may be heard. All right. If there's nothing else here, I think the hearing is automatically continued until that point. I don't think we need a separate motion for that. And I guess it's time to give it back to Mr. Klein.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you
Handler.
very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are closed on docket 3903. So we'll move on to docket 3904, 25 Heath Road. I invite the applicant to go ahead and introduce himself and tell us what they are proposing to do. Marilyn Gary, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself, if you're. Oh, you're still muted.
Yep. Can you hear me now?
We can.
Okay. Well, good evening. My name's Mario Berlingeri, and I'm the property owner of 25-27 Heath Road. I am requesting approval for a second driveway to be located on Heath Road. The existing driveway that faces Hilton Street. This property is on a dead-end street. Heath Road is the primary address. However, it intersects with Hilton Street. It's a corner lot. And the original driveway and existing driveway faces Hilton Street on the side of the house. And there is not sufficient space to expand that driveway since it already is a two-car parking space. And any attempt to create additional space would exceed the 20 feet curb cut for that space. And additionally, it would present a problem because it would be too close to the intersection. The most feasible space available is on the other side of the house, and it faces Heath Road with sufficient property to create the additional space that I am requesting without any variances required from the town. And it is a simple driveway with dimensions of 9 feet wide by 38 feet long, and requires a curb cut of about 10 to 12 feet. And there is no issues regarding additional traffic, or any adverse implication. The space also is beneficial not only for me, but for the town, because it would eliminate the need for requiring an on-street overnight parking permit in the future if necessary. In presenting this to the engineering department, they advised me that they saw no issue with any water mitigation since it's under 350 square feet. And the inspectional services area felt that there were no issues that they could see. So that is my request for a second driveway. And to the best of my knowledge, it will conform to all the requirements for that space.
Great, thank you for that. So I've gone ahead and put up on the screen, this is the plan that was submitted. So here to the right-hand side, the Hilton Street, this is the existing driveway that's there today, which is a uh, driveway and parking. Um, and then the proposal is seen here in red towards the left. As the applicant had noted, it's 9 feet wide, 38 feet deep. So there's a 20-foot front yard setback, and then the space has to be 18 feet deep, which is how we get to 38. So it is fully behind the front yard setback, and located in the rear of the property. Um, so I had visited the site, apart from the town storing a lot of stuff in the street. Um, there's a there is a telephone pole on that side, and have you confirmed that the position you're showing your parking space in is not going to interfere with that pole?
Yes, there was a member of the engineering department that happened to be down on in that area, Heath Road, a number of times because of the project of the betterment of the street project down in that section. And I showed him where the proposed driveway would go. There's actually two telephone poles on that site, and one that is closest to the end of the property line. I am going to be beyond that telephone pole. So where you see the 20 feet in from the corner property line, the telephone pole is just before the dotted red line. It's about
Okay.
3 feet prior to that. And then the other telephone pole is probably about the area where 138.44 is stated.
Okay.
So we don't see, I mean, specifically that was chosen, obviously, not to have any interference with any of the utility poles. And there is a pipe right next to the utility pole towards the back of the property line that must have been an old town post and sign on it that probably said dead end, but there's no sign on that pole. And, you know, that's not interfering with anything either, although I would probably ask if that's available to be removed since it's not doing anything.
Okay. As you noted, Heath Road is a dead end, but opposite your property, there's an apartment complex, and the apartment complex does have a drive, which will not be directly across from your driveway. It'll be even farther down Heath Road,
Yes.
which I think is the only other connection coming off of this street. And Heath Road is a public way, according to the
Yes.
town. Are there any? I know that it looks like there's a row of bushes or like a hedge along that side of the property abutting Heath Road. Are there any trees that would be impacted by this project?
There's these there's no trees, either town trees or other trees on my property other than the these overgrown arborvitaes which are acting like a hedge. Those would have to be removed because they're obstructing the entrance to the driveway. And also they present a blind spot view trying to back out of the driveway.
Are there any questions from members of the board? Go ahead and stop the share. Seeing none, I will go ahead and open for public comment. Public comments taken as it relates to the matter at hand should be directed to the board for the purpose of informing its decision. Those joining us by Zoom, you can raise your hand using the raise hand in the React tab. Are there any members of the public who wish to address this application? Again, this is number 3904 25 Heath Road. We have a request. Mr. Stephen Moore.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. Steve Moore, Piedmont Street. One question. What is the criteria generally that the ZBA uses to approve a second driveway?
Interesting you should ask, because that was changed at town meeting in 2025. So there is now a more substantial set of requirements. So a second driveway may be added, it needs to be added in a manner that avoids an undue concentration of population, that allows for an adequate provision of transportation, and added in a manner that allows for the safety of those using the street and sidewalk. Added in a manner that preserves protected trees as defined in town bylaws. Added in a manner that conserves the value of land and buildings in the vicinity, and may be added in a manner that does not violate any other driveway, parking, dimensional, or density requirements for the district in which it is located.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. That is helpful. Is because this is a corner lot, this gets consideration that's any different than a non-corner lot?
If it was less than 6,000 square feet, it would. If it's less than 6,000 square feet, it is allowed to have a front yard parking space on one of the sides, but because it's larger than 6,000 square feet, that does not apply.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Are there any other questions from the board? Sorry, questions from the public? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close the public comment period. So what the board has before it, this is a request for a second driveway. And I was just noting that requirements for second driveway have changed since the last time I believe we had one of these come before us. And this is under section 6110A2. Says that only one driveway is permitted unless we find the second driveway may be added in a manner and the manner that we discussed. And then in making the findings required in the subsection, the special permit granting authority shall consider relevant factors that may include, among other factors, the functional classification and traffic volumes on the affected street or streets, whether the affected street or streets are one-way or two-way, proximity to signalized or unsignalized intersections, sight lines, potential conflicts with others using the street and sidewalk, and the presence of children or others who may be unable to protect themselves from roadway dangers. And so we have, those are the special requirements for granting a special permit for a second driveway. And then we have, on top of that, we have the regular required findings. So to start, we'll start with the required findings and then add the others when we get to it. So first is that we need in general to find that the adverse effects of the proposed use will not outweigh its beneficial impacts. So in this case, the board, this is a request for a second driveway, which is somewhat unusual, but not overly so. To the benefit of the applicant here, they do have a corner lot, so they have a much larger frontage that they can take advantage of. And in this case, the street that they're proposing to have the driveway on is actually a dead end with very limited use. And so it's beneficial in terms of not increasing the traffic or trying to come out onto a street that has a high traffic volume. Um, so the first of the test, the requested use is allowed by special permit in the district. So a second driveway is allowed under the previously quoted section, so long as the board makes those findings. The requested use is essential or desirable to the public convenience or welfare. Um, as it is most driveways in Arlington, you are able to park more than one car in tandem in the lot. The way that this house, um, we don't know how it came to the condition it's in now, but the parking space that's within the front yard between the building and the street does not allow for the parking of additional vehicles. And as the applicant had noted, they're trying to avoid having to try to come up with some way to park on the street, which would certainly have a much greater impact on the public. And so having a second driveway for the use of one of the two units in the building will be beneficial to the occupants of that building and um, therefore beneficial to the town. The requested use will not create undue traffic congestion or impair pedestrian safety. There's no sidewalk on this side of the street, so there's no issue with that. And as we noted, this is very close to the end of a dead-end street where the only other driveway is to an apartment complex across the street. And I believe there is a sidewalk on that side of the street for the public access. So having a driveway in this location will not be directly impacting um, the traffic or pedestrian safety. The requested use will not overload any public system. As the applicant had noted, they had spoken with the engineering division, and if uh, adding less than 350 square feet of impervious coating to the land does not require additional scrutiny from the engineering division in terms of the runoff from that. So there will be no additional overload. Um, Special regulations for the requested use are fulfilled. So the special regulations, as noted for this, are found in section 6110A1. Is that correct? Excuse me, 6110A2. Not one. The first is second driveway may be added in a manner that avoids an undue concentration of population. So adding this driveway does not increase the population or the access of, would create an additional habitation on the property. There's no indication that there's an attempt being made to increase the size of the house that might increase population, but it is also it's a two-family and a two-family district, so there's no issue with that. Second driveway may be added in a manner that allows for the adequate provision of transportation. This does allow for the occupants of the house to have more than one vehicle, which is often something that residents of the town find themselves needing. The second driveway may be added in a manner that allows for the safety of those using the street and sidewalk. As we noted, there's no sidewalk on this side, so it won't impact that, and its proximity close to the end of a dead-end street also maintains the sidewalk for the users of the street because there's very little traffic in this area. The second driveway may be added in a manner that preserves protected trees as defined in the town bylaws. So as we noted, there's a row of arborvitae that are along the street. It is our understanding that they are not considered protected street trees as defined in the town bylaws. But I know that a review of trees is a part of the application process that would go through the town, and so I would just make sure that we note that maybe it's as a condition, just that to require that the tree warden speak up in regards and to confirm that it's not an issue with a public street tree. The second driveway may be added in a manner that conserves the value of land and buildings in the vicinity. This will certainly not impact negatively the value of the property itself or any others in the neighborhood. This will probably increase the value of the property by having the additional capacity for parking. And a second driveway may be added in a manner that does not violate any other driveway, parking, dimensional, or density requirements for the district in which it's located. As we noted, this parking space is it's a driveway that leads to a parking space, so which is allowed, and the driveway is not allowed in the front yard, but the driveway is 38 feet long, so there's an 18-foot long parking space beyond the 20-foot required setback, and therefore it is not a parking space in the front yard. Is a parking space technically in the side yard, which is allowed. Um, and there is adequate provision of space between the driveway and the side lot line to provide landscaping as is required under the bylaw. So then the next is the requested use will not impair the character or integrity of the district. The addition of the driveway should not have any impact on the character or integrity of the district. It should be done in a fairly simple manner, and requested use will not be detrimental to public health or welfare. Should not have any impact on public health or welfare, and will not cause an excess of use detrimental to the neighborhood. This will not create an excess of use of parking. Will just allow for an additional vehicle to be parked on the property. Are there any questions from the board in regards to those proposed findings? Seeing none, should the board wish to approve this special permit, there are the three standard conditions which were previously read into the record. So we would apply those three. And I had noted that I thought it would be appropriate to request that the board, to note that the board requests the applicant work with the tree warden to address compliance with the town's tree protection and preservation bylaw. That would be in regards to the public street trees, just to make sure that there's no issues with that. Occasionally in the past, the board has discussed whether it was prudent to request that in a second driveway be made pervious rather than impervious. But here, where the applicant has noted that the area of the proposed driveway is less than the 350 square feet, that would require action by the town. I don't know if the board has any strong feelings about whether it feels like it needs to dictate the surfacing material for this driveway. Okay. Hearing none. I would ask Mr. Hanlon if he would direct the drafting of a decision in favor of the application. Mr. Hanlon, you are muted, I'm afraid.
I would, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
What else would you?
So then unless there's anything further from the board, we'll move that the Zoning Board of Appeals for the Town of Arlington close public hearing for docket 390425 Heath Road.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hanlon. So once the board closes, the board will draft a decision, and as Ms. Ralston had noted, our next scheduled hearing is on the 14th of July, and at that time we will vote on the final decision. So then a vote now to close the public hearing. Voting yes or no, Mr. DuPont.
Yes.
Mr. Hanlon.
Yes.
Mr. Holly.
Yes.
Mr. LeBlanc. Oh, do we lose Mr. LeBlanc?
I don't think Mr. LeBlanc is with us.
Okay.
Yes.
He had to leave just before this hearing.
Okay. We have Mr. Baranowski.
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg is absent, and the chair votes yes. So there's 5 votes in favor of closing public hearing docket 390425 Heath Road. And then thanks to the applicant for coming before us this evening.
Thank you.
So with that, that is the next item on our agenda is the newly added open forum. So so if there are members of the public who have issues to discuss with the board that are not related to a specific hearing, you may raise your hand and be recognized. Any members of the public who have any matters for open forum, we have a raised hand, Mr. Steve Moore.
3 for 3. Steve Moore, Piedmont Street. I guess you did this somehow at my behest. Thank you. No, it's a good thing to add. I don't know if it's quite appropriate for this board since it's already governed by some pretty strict rules that you have already. However, no, I appreciate that. No, I have nothing more to say. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Seeing no, are there any other members of the public who would like to address the board in the open forum? Seeing none, I will go ahead and close the open forum session. So the next meeting of the board has been noted is on Tuesday, July 14th at 7:30 p.m. There are 2 hearings on the agenda for that evening. I believe that documentation is up and available because it was advertised on the town website today. And then I think most members of the board have gotten back to me if there are dates that they're unavailable this summer, and I've put those onto my calendar. But if you haven't and there are dates you're unavailable, please go ahead and let me know so that we can make sure that we have sufficient coverage for all our meetings. And with that, I would like to thank you all for your participation in tonight's meeting of the Arlington Zoning Board of Appeals. I appreciate everyone's patience throughout the meeting. I would especially like to thank Colleen Ralston and Mike Champa for their assistance in preparing for and hosting our online meeting. Please note the purpose of the board's recording of the meeting is to ensure the creation of an accurate record of its proceedings. It's our understanding the recording made by ACMi will be available on demand at acmi.tv within the coming days. Arlington Community Media is dedicated to providing an electronic forum for the free exchange of information and ideas which reflect the talent, skills, interests, concerns, and diversity of the Arlington community. Please visit acmi.tv to learn how to support this valuable public resource. If anyone has comments or recommendations, please send them via email to zba@town.arlington.ma.us. That email address is also listed on the Zoning Board of Appeals website. And to conclude tonight's meetings, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Hanlon. And do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. DuPont. So roll call vote to adjourn for the evening. Mr. DuPont,
Yes.
Mr. Hanlon,
Yes.
Mr. Holly,
Yes.
Mr. Barnowski,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes, we are adjourned. Thank you all so very much for coming this evening, and we'll see you all on the 14th.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.
Night
Bye,
all.
everybody.
Right.
Good night.